This is gonna take a minute. Yeah.
Surprised no one's here for public comment.
I wouldn't do that.
Okay, everybody ready? Listos. All right. Good evening, everyone. Today is January 28th, 2025, and it is 5:33 p.m. This is a special meeting, I'm sorry, of the Taos Municipal School Board of Education. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Anna, would you do the roll, please?
President Flores, Vice President Sprague,
Here.
Secretary Trujillo,
Here.
Board Member King,
Here.
Board Member Corner.
Here. Okay. Actually, would you do the pledge, please?
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On the next time, I might ask you. So practice your. All right, next we have the land acknowledgement statement. It is respectful to recognize the unique and enduring relationship that exists between Indigenous people and their traditional territories. We acknowledge that we are on the historic homeland of the Red Willow people within the original territory of Taos Pueblo. This acknowledgement will oblige as a reminder of our ongoing efforts to respectfully recognize, honor, reconcile, and partner with the Red Willow people whose land and water we benefit from in this great valley today. All right, item E is approval of the meeting agenda. Does anyone have any comments or changes that they'd like to make in terms of positioning? No? All right, then would someone make a motion to approve the agenda as written, please?
I'll make a motion to approve letter F, the approval of the meeting agenda. A second.
Thank you.
Board Member Concha,
Here, yes.
Board Member King,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo.
Yes.
Vice President Sprague.
Yes. Thank you, Susan and Naomi. All right, last public comment. Is there any, I see no one in the building. Maria, do we have anyone online?
No.
No, okay, seeing no one and hearing from no one, we're going to move on to item G. Old business, new policy, second reading. During the discussion of a policy proposal, the views of the public, staff members, and the board may result in changes. A change shall not require that policy go through an additional review, except as the board determines that the change requires further study and that an additional review would be desirable. So from that, my understanding is that we can read it again, or we don't need to read it again.
Yes, we
Is that
read it
correct?
one more time, and then of course it's for discussion and
Okay.
adoption.
All right. Would someone like to read the Tiwa language program and instruction? Want to read it? Second reading?
Actually, we can have
It's I-2950 IHBE. Naomi, would you like to read it? It's under old
Can I
business.
defer to board member King to read from me? I'm under the weather.
Yes.
Congested. So I'm sitting way over there. I
Yes,
don't want to get.
thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Second reading. I-2950 at IHBE. Tiwa Language Program and Instruction. Taos Municipal Schools and the Taos Municipal School Board of Education are committed to supporting the revitalization of the Tiwa language for the Taos Pueblo tribal members attending the Taos Municipal Schools by offering a Tiwa language program in the schools in collaboration with the Taos Pueblo. The Tiwa language program is 100% under the purview of Taos Pueblo for the content delivered by the 520 licensed Tiwa language instructors. In accordance with the guidelines specified in the educational standard of New Mexico, Taos Municipal Schools will assure to honor and respect the Taos Pueblo Tiwa language program guidelines regarding the use to the Tiwa language in the public schools provide the opportunity for the Tiwa language to be taught in the school.
All right, does anyone on the board have any discussion they'd like to have on this policy? No, Dr. Layton, what do you recommend? Or do you have anything to add on that recommendation? Okay.
Vice President Frey, Secretary to the board, members of the board. I recommend that the second reading of the board policy I-2950 Tiwa language program and instruction of this is approved as presented and adopted for policy.
Thank you. Ms. Concha, would you like to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the Tiwa language program and instruction I-2950 as presented.
I'd like to second that. Will you call for the vote, please, on?
Board Member Concha,
Yes.
Board Member King,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo,
Yes.
Vice President Sprague.
Yes,
It is now policy.
it is now policy. Yay. Send up the fireworks. Or beat the drums or whatever works. All right, H is the consent agenda, discussion and possible approval of FY 26 Indian policies and procedures, IPP, and FY 26 impact aid application. Ray Lujan, Indian Education Program Manager. Welcome.
It's what's consent, would you like to?
I don't know, does the board have any questions for Ms. Lujan? She's here, obviously. Questions?
Is there any highlights, anything we should know about concerning, it kind of reiterates on the request. Any thoughts?
It's
Pretty standard.
Would you like to say something?
Thank you all for bringing this to the meeting. The IPP has been reworked and streamlined somewhat. It went from a 13 to a 9-page document, but it is a very vital, living, breathing testament of the way we as a district work with our tribal community in the best interest of our new students. Nothing substantial has changed, as it's more of, it was more about clarifying very, very specifically how things are done and in what time frame versus kind of vague statements that were in there prior to. So other than that, it's a long-standing, incredibly good document that I wholeheartedly back and have been upholding for many, many years in this position. And hope you guys will do it. The impact aid application, again, is an annual application. It's basically it's just on the count of students who have connection to non-taxable federal property. So again, it's an annual application and strictly based on numbers of students that reside in, that attend the district and have connection to non-taxable federal property.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you. Thank you so much.
If you have anything about the application, it's a lengthy process, but
No.
we have it ready and it's due, so.
Wanted to make sure you
Sooner than
felt,
later.
you felt good about it.
Yeah.
Just for clarification, if I can.
Yes.
Vice President.
Yes.
Does the, I know, we talked about it in our one-on-one, but again, just for clarification, does the federal hold from, the Trump administration affect this in any way? Since it's an application for 26?
So literally an hour and a half ago, a federal judge did freeze the freeze.
Oh, wow.
So as of right now, at least through Monday. So, but it's yet to be seen of what will the impact be afterwards. We don't know for sure.
Monday at 5 o'clock. Had a pause till then.
Wow.
Yeah, it's today, it was a shoot.
That's not.
So
very
everything was
long.
for, yeah.
So just for your information, if you look at the title of it, it's the FY 26
Yeah.
impact aid application.
Yeah,
This application will generate funds 2 years from now.
right.
So we're working on applications that were submitted 2 years ago for this year's funding. What that's gonna do with any federal funding, I cannot say as far as what's going on with the administration, but this application wouldn't generate funds until 2 years from now.
Okay, yes,
Good to know.
are you finished?
Yeah.
Secretary Trujillo?
I was looking and
explain the fiscal report for applicants including children and disabilities, the total addition. So what is the amount, will be the amount of that this application is asking for? And is there a match? Because I see here state aid. What
All
is
of
all
that is just district information about expenditures and where we're at with funds, related to students with disabilities, XYZ. But what, we don't ask for a certain amount of money. We say we have this many students that are connected to non-taxable federal property. The money that comes is entirely dependent on the federal allocation, which Impact Aid has been operating on a continuous resolution for 20-some years already. It's been on the presidential chopping block scale, sadly. So it depends on how much is the total appropriation, and then how many people applied all across the nation, and how many their numbers were, and what our numbers give us. All that matters to us is a timely application. If it's not submitted on time, it's 10% right off the top that we do not get. So
it's
thank you
data
very
that
much
they
for
just
doing
asked for and that you fill out.
Yeah,
And if you
we
provide
submit our
that.
data, this is how many kids we get, and we get what they give us based on our count and what table those kids are listed on. So students who reside on tribal lands are weighted most heavily through Impact Aid versus the ones that reside on the rent housing projects, just for us that we claim. This Impact Aid also funds connections for students who have military connections. Their parents are in the military and they reside here. But we don't get to count that percentage of students until they're 20% or more of our total population. So for us, all we're claiming is students who physically reside on a non-taxable federal property.
Okay, and then on the same note, money wise, how much did you get for this year? From what the application that you made 2 years ago?
Varies.
Just
This generates operational money, which I do not exactly know how much that was. It also generates 2 Impact Indian add-ons, which is our Impact Aid regular ed and Impact Aid special ed. Ours was approximately $30,000 in the special ed and probably like 12 in the regular. So it's not a whole lot for all the work I do, just saying, but it's important, and I, respectfully want to acknowledge and thank our district that they have, committed to those Indian add-on funds are specifically for the Indian program and not to be used elsewhere.
Mr. Khan, how many students do we have?
Native students in the district is 193 right now.
And of those, how many?
Of those, how many reside? 70 on tribal land. But the 193 is not all Taos Public students. That's all Native students. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Oh, it's helpful.
No, thank you, Ms. Lujan.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion?
No, I just find it interesting on this very last, right before all the signatures, the statutes or whatever where it's written, the Title I, Act of September 30th, 1950.
Yeah,
That's like way back. Educational amendments of 1978. That's way back.
Yeah.
right.
As I said, Impact Aid has been on the chopping block for many years, and yeah. It would not be schools like Los Alamos who are impacted by the labs, and they have huge Impact Aid dollars. People who have federal properties within their district boundaries have huge Impact Aid dollars that we don't have.
So you mean they get more, I said they're getting more revenue because of that, that they can spread in regards among their.
And
Rest of the
without
school
their, because if they don't have IPPs, the tribe has no say in how they spend their Impact Aid.
So therefore, the kudos to the district in working to make sure.
Yes, thank you. That's why I mentioned it. Thank you very
And so
much.
is there more that we can do, or is this it, or like, cause I'm not familiar with impact aid or anything like that, I'd like to learn more about it and, like even like, yeah.
So I can just, background is, impact aid is money the district gets to educate our students in lieu of property tax revenue. So we get the SEG, the State Equalization Guarantee, per pupil, how much money from the state based on property tax revenues to educate each student. Where there is an existence of non-taxable federal property, in our case, that being all our tribal lands and the low rent housing units in Taos, under Northern Regional Housing Authority, those properties, nobody's paying property tax on those. So the students who reside there, if we did not apply for impact aid, we would not get paid to educate those students because they're not included in the SCG. So that's why we have to apply for impact aid separately to get the funding. We have to educate the kids anyway.
Mhm.
They're on our rolls. By me doing this application, we're helping the district get more money to do this, to spread around for everyone.
And if I may, Vice President Spray and Board Member Cocha, there is, I think one of the ways that the board could help in looking at it legislatively is, impact aid used to flow through, the state, and so it was whatever they assigned to us, and we were never quite sure what amount we were going to get, and it was whatever formula that they were using, and it was, actually, when I first started on here, that it was always the question of what formula are you using? And how are you counting our students? And then after that, the state decided to give it to the school district so that we would receive those direct funding. So now we're aware of the amount and how it's being calculated. I know there's been discussion about taking it back because this is an amount of money that the state can take and keep for themselves, but just keeping that in their mind that it should go directly to the school districts and the students that it does impact.
That's the SCG money.
It's the impacted money.
The impact,
Yeah, it's because they don't get SEG.
It's a supplement.
no, I realize that, and that's the properties that are paid, what is it, like a PILT, which is, in lieu of taxes, they, like, the counties and, I don't know if the town gets it, but, we would get money because from the feds, payment in lieu of taxes, because these lands are not taxable.
Exactly.
So so what you're saying is that these areas are kind of like that. They're not taxed, so they don't get SCG money. So that's where this money comes in to supplement the students that are counted in these areas. Okay,
Yeah,
That's correct. Yeah,
Because
so.
these students are not included in the SCG.
yes, and
so
they're
the
not
ask would
included.
be to, it's just been a rumor and, I know that it's gone back and forth. But that has been one of the concerns, and I think from all of the meetings that we've attended is it gonna go back to the state and PED where they allocate it out to the district and, we would prefer to keep it for ourselves because then we know what we're getting and we know how it's
You
being
can budget and you
calculated.
can-
And they're not skimming some off the top to,
Because
have
the
their.
state was
Right.
taking, credit for a certain percentage of all impact aid dollars before they sent it out. So it was flowing to them and they were sending it to us, but then they were taking credit for amount of money that came to us and therefore lowering the SCG. So,
Yeah, so keeping it.
so that was a big fight in.
Yeah.
It was,
Yes,
over
yes.
helping to take that away from the state, and now it's a direct flow from the federal government straight to the
Okay,
district.
that's great because right now, in fact, in all the conversations that I've ever had, because since day one that I learned about the SCG monies and how it supplements it, we run the schools with SCG money, but that formula is broken. and they realize that it's broken. And, but there's nobody that really would. The last conversation I had with a gentleman that spoke at our last conference from the legislature. He says, well, and I said, we have other needs outside of just operations. I said, we have maintenance, we have, we have property that we'd like to develop too. And he says, well, borrow money. And I looked at him and I said, do you mean to tell me we have to go into debt to provide for our children? Isn't that the role of the state? Isn't our children more valuable than roads? That's the way I see it. And I don't think he just looked at me rather strangely. But to me, it meant a lot for him to hear exactly what we are feeling in this side. Because if they were, like you said, you have to understand how these SCG monies work and what the formula is and how many students you have, so you can anticipate what kind of a budget you're gonna have the following year.
Exactly.
And if you don't know that, that cripples you because I don't know how you would prepare a budget.
Mhm.
And because you're relying on that money. And then so that lends you to where we are now, having to apply for grants that you don't even know that you can really that can count on, because you don't know if you're going to get them or not. And you shouldn't have to do that. We shouldn't have to be applying for grant when there's a lot of money in the state to be had. And I'm hoping that our representatives will hear this, that we need money to run our schools, and our children are important. They're the best, they're the most important asset that the state has. And we're working really hard to educate them. And now with these additional, trying to get up our scores up, and we're doing what we can do, but we need money. And we appreciate what our educators do, but again, I think that money is the one that is part of the big picture.
My last question would be, how are the students counted?
So it's their actual connection to their physical address, where
Okay,
they physically reside. I literally printed that list of 3,200 students in the district and went through it one by one and picked out physical addresses that are on tribal lands and in the Lowlands.
And then, tribal lands.
And then all of that it goes to tribal realty and then to the governor to certify that. It goes to Northern Regional, gives us, because of confidentiality, they can't affirm or deny certain students that even though I generate the list, so they give me a list of their properties and their addresses, and then I match addresses.
Wow.
So it's a lengthy process.
Gosh, the process.
And there's not a easier way than how I do it, so.
It sounds like a mortgage process. It's cross-check. Everything is,
Yeah.
people don't realize. Like,
So
oh,
but
I
all
told
those
you
lists are
this. and I go,
certified, these are the lists I
It has to
have
be
here that are
checked.
actually.
yeah, I was just, because it just reminded me of when we were at our UNM advisory meeting, remember, they were telling us that like, when students check off, they choose the Hispanic lineage first before the Native American. So I just wondered if there was any correlation of us coming up short, if that's how the count was happening, because if you're, Hispanic and Native American, Anglo and Native American, they choose the other one before they would count the Native, so.
Right, that's really good putting that together.
Yeah,
Just for clarification,
Yeah.
tell you that this number one is not an Indian specific fund.
mhm,
This totally has only to do with a child's connection to non-taxable federal
yeah.
property.
location,
I
So
see.
it's not an
Oh.
Indian specific fund.
I
It
see.
just falls in my plate because the majority of the kids we count are Native American. So that's how this grant application.
That's a good
It came up.
clarification. So I guess the assumption would be that it was that,
Yeah, thank you for
It's not-
clarifying that, because to me, that was my thought. But it's not, it's the land, the
Which
connection.
is why
to
I'm
the
saying
land.
it generates operational money more so than the Indian add-ons. And then it adds It has, impact aid, regular ed and impact aid special ed for our Indian adults, which is the part that I gratefully thank that the district committed to allowing our Indian ed program to use those funds specifically. The operational money is a lot more than the rest of those, and that's my contribution.
Well, thank you, Renita and Renetta, for explaining that, because I mean, I think I learned a lot in the last 5 minutes. Then, you know, we go to IEC meetings and I've attended many, but I never knew, you know, like you said, that it's really literally technically not your responsibility, but you do it. So we appreciate that. And, yeah, it's a big job.
It
Thank you,
requires
Lord.
lots of collaboration with our people, that's why, and I'm there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you both for all that you do.
So as you know, for the IPP, as you saw on the signature page, it's already gone before our governor at our new governor at House Pueblo Board of Ed Chairman, our Indian and Parent Committee, and the Education and Training Division Director at the public. So I have all of those. I just need to do it, and superintendent after the board.
Nice, okay, that was gonna be my last question, was if we had all the signatures.
Yes, ma'am.
It's right.
All
And I
right,
have
thank you.
originals in hand waiting for.
Thank you, everyone. Great contributions and discussion. Dr. Layton, do you have an opinion on this?
No, I just appreciate all the hard work that Mr. Han and Mr. Miller does in putting this together. As you can see, it's not just a click, print, get ready. There's a lot of legend that comes with it. And so appreciate the hard extra work. So, having said that, Vice President Sprague, Secretary McGill, I recommend that the board approve the FY 26 Indian Policy and Procedure IDP and FY 26 Impact Aid application as presented by Ms. Ruth.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal year IDP and fiscal year impact aid application.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second. Thank you, Anna.
Board Member Concha,
Yes,
Board Member King,
Yes.
Secretary Trujillo,
Yes.
Vice President Spring.
Yes. You brought us some easy ones tonight, you guys.
Thank you. May I?
All right, moving on to item I, future topics. Does anyone have anything they would like to see on an agenda, upcoming agenda?
It's good to have the conversation from our last meeting with them. You asked. Is that gonna roll over to that?
You're referring to that President Flores asked us each to come with 2 items that we would like to work on this year.
Have 2 topics.
2 topics, right? That will move on to another agenda, maybe the 5th. That'll be up to you, Dr. Layton. You.
Right there and see if.
All right, I'm not sure this is a future topic, although it might be. I just wanted to bring to everyone's front of your mind that in the last few weeks, 30 districts in New Mexico have installed a financial literacy program as a graduation requirement. And Albuquerque just did a few days ago. So I thought that would be something that we would want to put in the front
I
of our
read that
minds.
letter, that yellow page.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
So
But now it's
President
a third of the students in New Mexico are getting that as a graduation requirement. And I thought we should talk about it.
So Vice President, I would ask you this, for future topic to look into the future literacy program.
Yes. Yes, thank you. All right. Anyone have anything else for future topic?
With our training at CES, our strategic plan was found to be
Lengthy?
yeah, and not specific. So I guess we put this on the agenda for discussion of how we're gonna look forward to,
Planning a workshop or something?
yeah, try to to tighten this up so we have a working document.
And definitely look at that possible workshop. That'll lend itself to the training that was made available, because part of the training is to go through that process as well. So yeah, that'll be nice. I believe Member King and Vice President Sprague will be having a presentation by each of you at the next to go over what was discussed or what was learned from the training.
Yeah, a short presentation, short one. And actually that reminded me, the word workshops triggered something in my brain. I would like to think about sometime in the next month or so, having a combination charter school, community school workshop for the board and for Dr. Layton, so that we can all kind of understand each other better and understand exactly what each of them do and what we do, and just have a workshop, a short, again, not a lot, not all day, just an hour or something. I'd like to recommend that. So if we could pass that along to,
Charter.
yeah, President Flores was gonna call me today, but he was too busy, so.
Okay, and Vice President, just FYI, for the next agenda, one of the things that we're gonna have is a presentation by each of the cabinet members on the relation between Taos Municipal Schools and our charter schools and how it relates to each of the specific areas.
I knew that. That's one reason. After that presentation, I'd like to have the charter schools in the room and the community schools, and we can hear from one first and another second, and just hear real clearly what we do, how we work with each other, and how we might be able to work better with each other. All right, and then the two goals, are you gonna tell President Mark what we, okay, great. So we'll look for those on an agenda upcoming. All right, any other future topics?
I know President Mark mentioned, housing for teachers housing. Is that still on there, Superintendent?
Yes, sir. That's from the last.
That's on there too?
Because that really directs totally the student outcomes. I mean, that's really A through Z. If we have certified teachers, I think a lot of our shortcomings would be.
Are we talking about having that on an agenda, or do we not have a teacher housing or a housing committee?
Right, so the last, future topic was to put the committee back together, so we have these first meetings. And also, I guess, a presentation, I would be superintendent report on the teacher housing updates.
Okay, right, good. Okay, thank you all. Anyone have anything else that they want to say? No? Yay, good job, guys. All right, upcoming Taos Municipal School Board's meeting, February 5th, 2025, 6 p.m. at this very building, correct? Right, any motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Anyone opposed? Let's go. We're good.